Sounds like your poker play is about instinct. Is that how you think the best players are?
Yeah, I think my own opinion about players, good players, there are good statisticians, and there are good instinctive players, and there are some, say like Howard Lederer, for instance, who combine the two very well, and I think Annie Duke does as well. They have a very good command of statistics and a very good knowledge of psychology.
Do you even think about numbers when you're in a game or a
No,
tournament?
no, never, ever. It never crosses my mind. It's I don't. I've never, ever, ever thought, oh, what are the odds of hitting this hand at this stage? It never occurs to me. I couldn't care less. Right. If I've got a flush draw and I'm feeling lucky, all my money will go in. Regardless. I'll just throw it all in, and if I'm feeling lucky, I'll put pressure on. If I, and if I instinctively feel something lights up in me like that and say, if you raise here, Johnny, he will pass. Okay, then I listen. As long as I listen to those voices, then I'm fine.
Was there something before poker where you had that kind of instinct that you can remember? With people or?
Roulette sometimes. Occasionally on roulette, there used to be those brief moments where everything. I remember reading a roulette book once. I can't remember what it was called, and he called it extra special perception. I can't remember what and it's just that brief moment in time where you know exactly which hole the ball is going to drop in, but you've got to get. It's a very brief moment, and it's while the ball's spinning and everything slows down, and you've got to get the money onto that number before the ball drops in, because you just know which number it's going to go in. But it doesn't happen very often.
What about luck? What is luck?
Luck obviously comes into it, and I think it's a great. People are going to think I'm pretty kooky, but a lot of it's to do. I just think it's a lot to do with where you are in your life and in the cosmos at that particular time. I think that when you're playing in a hand, if you sit down, there are times when you can sit down in a tournament and you just feel so zoned in. I mean, other people must have experienced this. You just know that everything that you do is going to be right at that time. And it doesn't matter what it is. You know that you're going to hit your flush. You know that you're going to hit your straight. And you know that if you make a certain move at a certain time, then the results will come out in your favour. It's a huge part of the game.
Top players, are they great? Are they lucky? What's the deal?
I think there are a lot who are great. I'm not belittling the skill factor. I think there are some incredibly skillful players. I think Daniel Negreanu is having an incredible run at the moment, and he's a player who I've always admired. Not just as an individual. I like him as a person, but he's an incredibly skillful player. He's a great reader of the game, and he really puts pressure on at the right time, and that's the great skill of poker, is knowing at any particular time what to do. There are so many choices that you have in every hand. Every single hand is different, and the composition of the game changes constantly. You get moved from one table to another, or somebody else joins your table, or the antes are going up. Everything's constantly changing. It's like this huge flux-like thing going all the time, and you just have to be tapped into it. And someone like Daniel is well tapped into it, because it becomes instinctive with them, because they're playing it. It's their lives, So that they're very, very capable and very, very good at it.
It sounds like you haven't suffered very much adversity in poker, but have you had down moments then?
Of course, I've had down moments. I've had bad runs. I didn't really have much of a bad run before the Poker Million, but I'd say that after it, I've had bad spells.
What was the bottom? Was there a thought, I'm never gambling again?
There've been a few days like that where I think any gambler will drive home with that cathartic sort of state of, I've lost everything, and think, I'm never going to do this again. But you're going to do it again, because it's in your blood. You just have to do it again. You can't not do it again. I think towards the end of 2003, I'd had a very, very bad 6 months, and it's probably what urged me into doing this. It's probably what pushed me into actually trying to get this together. It was just a very bad 6 months. and I've seen other players have the same run. I saw Phil Hellmuth, you know, in 2002, 2003. Phil, you could see it etched on his face. You know, he just seemed to be suffering endless bad beats, endless. It was repetitive. He was knocked out of the World Series because some guy, hit a queen on the end. I can't remember. It was just agonising to watch this poor guy just constantly being beaten down. And I don't know if you ever saw him during that period, but he was kind of psychologically damaged.
Do you compare poker to other sports?
Poker is it's about mental agility and mental exhaustion and mental fatigue. And so you end up, I think that, yes, you can see players who have a bad run, say at golf, if you take golf or something like that, okay, then you can see a player who obviously, say, take Tiger Woods, okay, he just seemed to be in command of everything at one point, 3 or 4 years ago. Everybody said, well, who the hell is going to be able to fight for this? Yeah. And then suddenly the guy goes off form, But it doesn't seem to affect him that much psychologically, because he's got a huge income, he's got these huge sponsorship deals. His lifestyle hasn't changed. But as a poker player, if you go off course, your income source is gone. Everything's gone. Your life can go, everything can go. And so the impact is massive. I think with someone like Phil, for instance, okay, I don't think he suffered financially, but I think his ego is such, I'm a great admirer and I like Phil a great deal, but I think his ego just could not handle the fact that the luck was so against him. What did he do to deserve this? And I think that's what often we say to ourselves is, what did we do to deserve this?
Well, what motivates you to work so hard?
I think it's just a desire to, I think I'm very, very stubborn as an individual. And when I first when I first started to set this up, I got no a lot from, like Amsterdam said no, Barcelona said no. The only casino that said yes was the Vic, and that was because I played there. And once two venues had said no, I just got so irritated that I wanted to make it work. And now that it's up and running and working, it's fine.
Is it self-belief? Is it a support network? What's important?
I think you need both. I think you have to have that self-belief. You also, I think it's really important that you have a support network. I think it helps a great deal when you have the support. I'm very lucky. I have a family. I have a home and a family, and a fairly secure. We have our rows like everybody, but they're there and they're supporting me. They hate poker because I'm so preoccupied with it. But they probably see some maybe change in my personality when when I win and lose. I don't know, there might be things there. They don't particularly like it. And children are very intuitive. Children suss when something's good for you or bad for you. So they're not great fans of it. They see it as probably slightly obsessive, but they're supportive. And that's the main thing. They're much more supportive about this venture than they would be if I'd said, oh, I'm going to spend the next year playing in 12 major World Poker Tour events around the world, and I feel confident that I'll be able to bring home some money. I don't think they'd be supportive of that.
What's going to make the EPT a success? What's the key? Is it the players or is it the show?
The players are the show. Without the show, without the players, there will be no show.
Well, you've got competitors, you've got Matchroom, you've got Challenge TV. What are you doing different?
The whole idea of the European Poker Tour is that it captures the real essence of poker. The existing, I think, as I've said before, the existing televised tournaments are being made purely to, they're all about money. They're about money and they're about sponsors. I'm trying to capture what it is that makes people play. The players, the situation, and just roll the cameras and see what happens. If as a result of that I'm successful and I make some money out of it, great. But you can rest assured that if I am very successful and I make money out of it, that some of that will get ploughed back in. It's not, these people, some of these people, they don't plough that much money back in. They say they're ploughing money back in, but they don't do it. They don't do it. They say they're adding money on, but they're taking it out of the rake from the tournament buy-ins that they're getting on the internet. It's all, there's very few people will actually get the checkbook out and say, okay, we're going to add on 200,000 to this tournament, but we don't have to do anything apart from turn up in return. That's what you have to do. I think it's about rewarding people for taking part. You're
a bit of a dreamer. Take me forward 5 years, 10 years. What's the dream for poker?
I think the dream is that it becomes, in Europe, certainly for me, it becomes a game that is respected by all, by everybody, and that they see it as in the same way that people see maybe bridge or whatever. But they see it as a way of learning about themselves. This is going to sound really mad, but that you can learn so much about yourself by playing this game, and you can learn so much about other people. You come into contact with people that you would never normally come into contact with. Okay, if you're an accountant from Watford, okay, and you go and do your job, fine. You meet the people that you work with, and you maybe have a circle of friends who live in your area, and you go out to the pub for a drink with them. If you play poker, you can play on the internet. Okay, you can qualify, and you can go and play in Copenhagen or Monte Carlo, and you're meeting and you're playing with people who are from all walks of life. It's a complete classless arena where native wit and intelligence stands for much more than education. And so you just have this great richness of cultures, of everything. It's incredibly educated. You can sit with anybody. You can sit with people from Vietnam, from China, from anywhere in the world. You could, if you've got the time, if you're interested in other people, you can chat to them. You can learn about them. You not only learn about their cultures, you can learn about how gambling fits into, say, the Chinese culture, and you can learn a great deal about the world and about risk and about reward and about spirituality. There's a great deal. It's a fascinating game. It really is.
My thanks to John Duthie. Off to shuffle now. We'll see you next time.